Hi, everybody. Welcome to Astrology for Awakening. I'm Napa Perkins of Electra Astrology, and we are talking about the benefits, the gifts, the amazing things about the sign of Sagittarius. And we all have Sagittarius in us. And Sagittarius season, at least in the United States, runs through holidays. And one of the things that I talk about in this week's episode is how to see the bigger picture, how to look at what you believe to be true, what your experiences have been, how you connect with different versions of belief systems and philosophies and religions, and the opportunity, the invitation to zoom out and to change your perspective. And we know that perspective is so personal, and everybody can go to the exact same party and have a completely different experience. And that's the encouragement of Sagittarius as we venture further into this sign. If you are new here, these are edited episodes that I am launching onto YouTube. So the first few episodes are podcast style. These are originally posted on my podcast Star Narratives, but I am taking all of the teachings that belong to every single sun sign because they are insight into your own psychology, into your own spiritual nature. I pose questions to you that are designed to help you self-inquire, to understand yourself a little bit better so that you can have more ease in your experience and maybe even heal some of your tender places. If you like my style and you would like to work with me, you can find me at electraastrology.com, and make sure to tune into my other episodes on YouTube. I talk about asteroids, I talk about facets of these sun signs, and I also release an astrology forecast and special interviews with other practitioners in my field. All right, I hope that you enjoy this and that it helps you to see your own Sagittarius gifts a little bit better. This week, we're going to talk about the gifts of Sag. So I invite you, before we begin, just to take some deep breaths and get centered in your body. Just get a sense of where you are oriented right now in time and space. What position is your body in? Is it comfortable? When was the last time that you paid much attention to what was happening on a physical level? We talked a lot about presence when we talked about Gemini. Gemini is a sign that represents, in large part, the present moment, your immediate environment. And most of us really struggle to be in the present. We don't even know what it means, actually. The way that I see it is the present moment is where we just take a few deep breaths and we come into the here and the now, and we look around and we say, oh, I'm in this room. The air is this temperature, etc. But even more than that, it is a coming back into your physical body, out of your mental state, out of your head. So take a minute and be with your physical body, with your breath, and get a sense of what your nervous system is doing right now and how it is feeling. As we've talked about, Sagittarius and Gemini are the axis of the mind, of our thoughts. The air signs, of course, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius also relate to mental activity. And when we get caught up in our heads, we lose touch with everything else that's going on. A lot of times we lose touch with reality. And our whole system just becomes oriented around what is going on in our minds. And we know that our minds largely not accurate, very swayed by things like expectation, desire, shame, fear. So as we are moving into the gifts of Sagittarius, I want to talk a little bit about that. Often you'll hear astrologers talk about the bigger picture with Sag, where we zoom out and we get a sense of the whole deal. It becomes less about me and my perspective and where I stand, and it becomes about seeing everything that's going on. So the more that you travel, read, educate yourself, speak to people from different cultures, backgrounds, socioeconomic levels, the more that you get a sense of how the world actually works, it helps you to change perspective. Ideally, we want to be able to hold the whole picture or at least varying parts of it. With Sagittarius, our goal is to be able to hold multiple beliefs at once. There's a psychological term called object constancy, which means that we are able to see that somebody, for example, somebody that we love, is annoying, difficult, hard to be around, and also quite lovable and amazing and fun. And we can have that object constancy with anything in our lives, right? Where we can understand that not everything is all good or all bad, that there are always multiple ways to look at something. And that's what we want to do with Sagittarius. And when we're able to do that, there are so many opportunities that show up. We're able to see the full scope. And we are able to get, if not a complete perspective, we're able to see the intrinsic truth of what is happening. And it is from that place of intrinsic truth that we're able to expand. And this is why astrologically, Sagittarius rules religion, Pisces rules spirituality. Jupiter is the planet, though, that technically rules both Sagittarius and Pisces. We look at Sagittarius as more of the belief systems of humans, and then we look at Pisces as the connection to a higher power. And yet they're very intertwined, right? Because when we're able to understand that there is a profound truth to everything, which is very Piscean in nature, but that we also have our individual truths mixed in that impact, that change the flavor of the recipe, so to speak, that is when we really know that we can hold varying perspectives, right? We can see the bigger picture. It helps us to trust, which is a Sagittarius keyword, can teach us to lean into the unknown in a different way. We talked last week. If you missed it, you can listen to the Sagittarius shenanigans episode where we talked about the shadow side of Sag, one where you approach things as if you already know it all, as if you are the only holder of the truth, or that your truth, your perspective is the right perspective. And we cannot say with confidence that any single person, belief, perspective is the right perspective when we are looking at a collective. We're going to move into Capricorn and then later Aquarius in the next few months of what you have been told is right and true versus what you should be questioning. And we begin a lot of that work with Sagittarius, where we're trying to understand things from all over. We're trying to see the forest for the trees. Sagittarius is both the teacher and the student. Think about the things that you have learned, the places you've been, the education that you have had. It reminds me of some of my own personal experiences with traveling, where things seemed one way, and I went traveling through places where there was a lot of poverty, or the culture was very, very different from American culture, or I was able to see how people interacted with one another in a different way. And it changed my life. It was humbling, but it made me see things in a different way. I became less of a know-it-all and more interested in absorbing what was going on around me. And all of us have had experiences like that. Eventually, if we're trying to move towards the gift of this archetype, we take everything that we've learned, everything that we've seen, the people we've spoken to, classes we've taken, the adventures we've had. We take that and we begin to mix it together along with our own ideas, our own belief systems, what we know to be true, and we turn it into almost teachings of our own. And you don't have to be a teacher or a guide yourself. I bet you have people in your life that you share your wisdom with. You've had the experience of being able to say, try it this way instead. And that's what we're always going for with that Sagittarius. Where do I need to learn more? And how can I teach what is valuable about what I've learned to others? The baseline of the gifts of Sag really connect to this sense of meaning. Because if we're only operating from that Aries perspective of this is what I need to survive, or that Leo perspective, this is what I know to be true about myself. There is a lack of meaning that we only find once we move out into those transpersonal signs of Libra through Pisces, because we understand that there's only so much we can do with self, that we have to move out into the world where we connect with others, learn from others. And that really is where the meaning is. Think about holidays as we move into holiday season. It's not as interesting when it's just you. There's always something very meaningful and expansive about being around the people that you're with, even if it's difficult. Ideally, you come away with more knowledge, more understanding. We want to be cultivating this confidence in our internal guiding force based on all of the knowledge that we have acquired as we have moved through our lives. So the older you get, the more you know, but you don't have to get old in order to tap into the wisdom. You can be a very young person with wisdom, especially if you're relating to the world through the idea that it's not all about me. And that's what we do with Sag.